Mehraboon, I'm looking at PSU bank stocks which are all selling off hard. Canara Bank, Bank of India, UCO Bank is down sharply. Actually, Bank of India is down 6%. Anything specific here in terms of worries or just a pullback? What would you do?
I think exactly a year ago I was very bullish on PSU banks, that I was negative on IT. Now I think the trade which took place, I think exceeded my own expectations, if you ask me. And I think less than a month ago when I was asked a specific question on PSU banks, I said it's still a great space to be in, but the stocks could correct 10, 15, 20% from the present levels. I think some of them are corrected a little bit more, especially the name which you mentioned. And if you ask me, is it a buying opportunity? I would say the answer is a certain yes. The point is, NIMs somewhere could peak out. Have they peaked out? Maybe one more quarter. But the point is that the books are relatively very, very clean as compared to what they were, say, 1 or 2 years ago. Will the books become dirty again? Well, let's hope not, but it will take its own time. So I think the positive story as far as PSU banks is very much there, and the stocks, the pullback which has happened, and I'm using the word pullback which you prompted me on, Prashant. I would say that pullback is a lovely opportunity for people to go and buy into at least 2 or 3 PSU banks. I personally own 4 of them, so disclosures are very clear over here that I'm owning some of them, and I remain positive on this particular space, especially after the pullbacks with the stocks have seen.
Sharp pullback. The Nifty PSU banking index is now down nearly 20% from its December high. So that's on the index level, and individual names like Bank of India, UCO Bank are down 30-35% from the December highs. But the other pocket of interest today is the entire power sector. It's buzzing in trade after the government directs power units importing coal to operate at full capacity in the peak summer months to make sure we don't have any power shortages. Vivek joins in to tell us the impact and more details. Vivek.
Absolutely right. So, what the Power Ministry has done is they've gone ahead and invoked Section 11 of the Electricity Act, which basically allows, coal importing power stations to go ahead and import coal, and they would get a complete cost pass-through. And this is seen as a positive as far as the entire power utility space is concerned. So now all of the imported coal-based power plants will now operate and generate power at full capacity. Remember, a similar move was undertaken from May to December of 2022, and 2 companies that saw a significant positive impact was Tata Power as well as Adani Power, given the fact that their Mundra power plant operations were basically dependent on imported coal. Citi has actually gone ahead and written on this particular development. What they're saying is that this particular move will benefit the imported coal-based plants. They also believe that currently they are unable to do a complete full fuel cost pass-through, and which is why they are operating at very low capacity. Specifically, they mentioned Tata Power's Mundra UMPP, saying that this particular plant will benefit for the period where Section 11 continues to remain in force. Further, what analysts are saying is that when you're talking about the PLF of NTPC, last year, same time around, from 70%, it actually improved to 80+%. So they believe positive for the entire space, and merchant power prices will also go higher, which makes it possible even for the exchange, that is IEX.
And that explains why these stocks are excited, the few stocks that are excited in today's session. Thanks, Vivek, for explaining the details there to us. Mehraboon, good afternoon. Great to be chatting with you as always. Not sure if you look at any of these, Tata Power, Adani, it's very clear the government says run at full steam. And I think there's also the details where if there's any differential because of higher prices of imported coal, I think there's going to be a mechanism to deal with that as well. So your thoughts?
Well, I would like to, if you allow me, Surbi, I would like to add a couple of sentences to what Rima mentioned, and even Prashant asked me about PSU banks. Just I will take less than half a minute. I think the correction which we have seen of 7 to 10% in PSU bank or PSU bank index, which Rima reiterated twice, I would like to state that we also need to look into the fact that look at the way they had gone up. I think I challenge any PMS firm or possibly any HNI to have turned out with positive returns for the entire calendar 2022 if he was not invested in PSU bank stocks or maybe the Adani stocks, which had a stellar performance in 2022. Without this too, I think your returns could have been negative. So in the light of what PSU bank stocks did to portfolios, I think a 15-20% correction from the peak levels is nothing to worry about. So that finishes my answer. Coming back to your question on the power sector, I think power, railways, capital goods are sectors which one expected them to do well. Also, one knew that the budget would come up with a lot of positives for them, and that is exactly what is happening. And this morning news, which you all carried about the import of coal and other things, I think, and facility to sell the excess power on the exchange, I think is certainly very much positive. The question is, do you go and buy into the frontline power generating companies, or do you go into companies which are ancillary to the power sector? I would prefer the latter, if you ask me. So I would prefer names in the transformer sector like a CG Power, which is extremely expensive in terms of valuation, but belongs to the Borukappa group, which undoubtedly is rated as one of the best groups in the country. I would like to go with something like a Bharat Bijlee over the year. I think the company in transformers with very clean balance sheet, with a substantial holding of Siemens. Then there are names like Siemens, there are names like NTPC also, which look very attractive. So this is a space which I think should remain in focus. Let's not forget, we are 1 year away from the elections. The government has got a lot of things to do, and they have planned a lot of things, and I'm quite sure they will go ahead with it. And I think this is one sector we should continue to do well. So that is my comment on the entire sector as such.
Okay, all right. Some of these industrial-related stocks and PSU banks, Mehraboon likes them. Thanks for that, Mehraboon. Stay with us. For the time being, the markets actually have come off the low point of the day. So just keep that in mind. We're keeping an eye out on Putin's speech. But for the time being, in fact, from the start of the show, at least we have bounced closer around 30 points or thereabouts. Slip into a short break. On the other side, we'll discuss top stocks and portfolio bets with our alpha manager, Amit Gupta of ICICI Securities, will be joining in.